Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Our big and exciting pattern change is getting closer and rain chances are on the rise. I'll let you know the 3 threats coming with this system coming up.
Breaking news, a shakeup in the race for Raleigh mayor. There's now one less candidate for the top office in the capital city. Michelle McConaughey is gathering information in the WRAL Live Center.
Also, Chapel Hill police are investigating an early morning shooting, what we've learned about the victim and possible leads in the case.
So we are in for one more day of sweltering heat and a level 1 risk for severe weather. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. Meteorologist Kat Campbell is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at how the storms could affect your evening commute.
We got a lot to talk about today. A very active weather day across the area. 3 threats to walk you through. A heat advisory is in effect through 8 o'clock. The heat index today between 105 and 110. So another day of this heat. It's our last one, though, of the week. And then we've got the threat for storms. These storms would pop up throughout the afternoon. I think the best chance should come during the evening. A few of those storms could produce damaging winds, and the flood risk is low, but that flooding risk is going to go up in the days ahead. The cold front isn't here yet. It arrives tomorrow, but with it getting closer, we're going to see a complex of storms develop to our west that tries to push in later this evening. So I do think we'll see greater coverage of storms compared to what we saw yesterday. As we move ahead toward the evening commute, 5 o'clock, we've got about a 40% chance of showers and storms. These are going to be scattered in nature, but anybody who does see a storm for the evening commute, expect it to be intense. Some strong wind gusts and very heavy rain are possible. And then late tonight, we'll still have some storms around, possibly through about 10 o'clock. But I think once we get to 11 o'clock midnight, all of that activity is going to be dying down for us. Tomorrow, we're up to an 80% chance of rain. I'll have a closer look at that coming up in about 15 minutes.
And breaking right now in the WRAL Live Center, Corey Branch has dropped out of the race for Raleigh mayor. That leaves 4 people currently running, including former state treasurer Janet Cowell. Branch has scheduled a news conference to happen tonight at 6:30 at the State Community Church, where he will discuss his reasons for dropping out. Of course, we will have coverage of this in our later newscasts.
Police are still on scene at an apartment complex in Chapel Hill after a deadly shooting early this morning. It happened on Ashley Forest Road around 1 o'clock. WRAL's Monica Casey is there now on scene. And Monica, you spoke with Chapel Hill Police. What are they telling you?
Yeah, Chapel Hill police say they are speaking with a person of interest, but no charges have been filed at this point. They have been focused on this area of the apartment complex, but they've now gone further and deeper into the complex here. You can see a Chapel Hill Fire Department truck down the road here. They are there because bullets traveled far in this area. I spoke with a man who tells me he heard about 6 gunshots last night around 1 in the morning. He says he stayed up until 2 or 3 watching police respond, but it wasn't until this morning he realized a bullet had come into his apartment, leaving a hole in the wall.
And I woke up this morning and went in my kitchen, and I had a big bullet hole in my kitchen that came through. If I would have been up, fortunately I wasn't, in the kitchen, I would have got hit.
William Rankins tells me he's lived here for 17 years, and this is usually a safe and quiet area with lots of families and older residents. You can see members of the fire department are up on a ladder next to that building, getting the bullet out of the wall there. Now, Chapel Hill police have not yet released the name of the victim in this case, but they do say this is believed to be an isolated incident. In Chapel Hill, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
We're now halfway through the Republican National Convention, and today the focus is on the VP at the RNC. Tonight, the convention turns its attention to foreign affairs, including the ongoing wars in Ukraine and Gaza. The party will also hear from Ohio Senator J.D. Vance for the first time since becoming the vice presidential nominee. Democratic-funded polling shows Joe Biden is losing ground to former President Trump in 14 key states, including 5 that he flipped in 2020. You can find a full list of remaining events at the Republican National Convention by going to WRAL.com.
The man who tried to assassinate former President Trump requested the day off work on Saturday, telling his boss he had something to do. Thomas Crooks reportedly told his coworkers he'd be back at work on Sunday. As investigators pieced together the hours before the shooting, they determined that he was at the security screening area prior to the rally. He was turned around because his rangefinder attracted the attention of security. The device is used by target shooters to measure distances for long-range shots.
Newly released body cam video from police captures the moment 5 police officers opened fire on a man, killing him right near the Republican National Convention.
Drop your knife! Drop the knife now! Drop it now!
The mayor of Milwaukee says the police were at a briefing nearby when they saw one of the men waving a knife. And it turns out that man on the left had 2 knives. Officers ordered him to drop them. The man did not, and then even lunged at the unarmed person in the street on the right. That's when officers shot him.
And where some of the anger has come from, because they were not local police officers. But in my conversations with officers, including local police officers, any officer in that same situation where they witness somebody who's going to cause death or serious bodily harm to somebody with a gun, or in this case with a knife, not just one knife but 2 knives, would have taken the exact same action to preserve life.
This happened about a mile from the convention, and the shooting fueled anger from people who lived nearby there who questioned why out-of-state officers were in their neighborhood, located, like I said, about a mile from that site.
President Joe Biden is back on the campaign trail. The president delivered remarks on the opening day of the NAACP National Convention in Las Vegas. Biden worked to shore up support among black voters. He also denounced former President Trump's policies. Biden promised voters he is all in to continue his campaign for re-election.
Take a look at stocks this noon. You can see the Dow Jones Industrial Average has continued its strong rally this week, up 208 points right now. But NASDAQ, that's a different story because they're in a 2% slide because huge sell-offs in big tech stocks. Leading the way is NVIDIA, down over 200 points in that area. And also down is the S&P 500, down over 60 points right now.
You may have noticed extra delays during the morning commute through Raleigh. That's after a tractor trailer carrying various sauces overturned on I-440. WRAL's Laura Levine explains how crews cleared the mess.
You can now see the tractor trailer involved in this incident off to the shoulder. The truck, you can see, sustained some significant damage from this accident. But here is what the real problem is. Thousands of pounds of marinade which spilled across the interstate. We're talking about steak sauce, teriyaki sauce that this truck was carrying. Crews responded to the accident on a belt line just before 2 o'clock this morning. The tractor trailer was found flipped on its side down the embankment. DOT crews were requested to help with the cleanup. You can see the truck spraying water on the road to help wash away some of the marinade. I'm told the truck was carrying more than 38,000 pounds of product. Crews were seen tossing the debris and remaining jugs of sauce in several dumpsters. It's a process that took several hours to complete. Meanwhile, Raleigh police blocked off Wade Avenue inbound lanes near the on-ramp of I-440 East, causing a few traffic delays as the crews continued to work. And the good news to come from all of this, the Raleigh Watch Commander tell us there are no injuries to report from this incident. The driver is okay. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Raleigh.
2 drivers are in the hospital with serious injuries after a crash between a FedEx tractor trailer and a car. I-85 in Orange County is back open after the tractor trailer overturned, creating backups. This happened between Hillsborough and Durham near US 70 just after 1:30 this morning. Video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker shows the truck toppled over in the median. No word on who was at fault.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center at 11:30 this morning, the 76th Emmy Award nominees were announced. Shogun tops all Emmy nominees. They got 25 nominations, and then The Bear leads comedies with 23. They set a new record for series record. Also in the running for outstanding talk shows, The Daily Show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Lead actor for limited series or movies included John Hamm for Fargo, Andrew Scott for Ripley, and lead actress in a limited series, Jodie Foster for True Detective, and Brie Larson for Lessons in Chemistry. They are among a huge list of nominees. The Emmys will air September 15th.
Huge list of things I need to watch. Next at noon, Musk could be on the move. Why Elon Musk is threatening to relocate his X and SpaceX headquarters out of California.
Also, a frantic race to rescue a teenager stuck in the sand on a San Diego beach. What it took to get her out.
Plus, swimming the Seine at 12:30. What the mayor of Paris was trying to prove by taking a dip in the river ahead of the Olympics.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
Elon Musk is threatening to move X and SpaceX aerospace headquarters from California to Texas. The decision follows the new law signed by Governor Gavin Newsom that prevents California schools from notifying parents if their children identify as transgender. Darsha Phillips has reaction to the decision.
SpaceX has a 1 million square foot campus in Hawthorne. Founder Elon Musk announced on his social media platform X he would be moving SpaceX out of Hawthorne and into Texas.
I saw when they were building everything. It was pretty cool. I was here as a kid, so we were very excited.
Adonish Crank grew up in Hawthorne and was disappointed with the news.
It gave a lot of opportunity for kids. Probably didn't see stuff like that every day. They were able to just, like, I can do that.
Musk's move motivated by Governor Gavin Newsom's bill banning schools from notifying parents of gender identity changes. He posted on X, "This is the final straw because of this law and the many others that preceded it attacking both families and companies. SpaceX will now move its headquarters from Hawthorne, California to Starbase, Texas." Governor Newsom's press office fired back with a series of tweets, including one that reads, "The last time Elon Musk moved a headquarter, Tesla ended up expanding in California." Musk's post on X gave little detail on what a move would actually entail. Our request for a response from SpaceX went unanswered.
I think that's the big question right now is what is the future of SpaceX in Hawthorne beyond just moving the headquarters?
Sean Hyatt, a business strategy professor at USC, says if C-suite executives leave and the factory remains, it won't have much of an economic impact. But he says he wouldn't be surprised if Musk packed up the whole operation and left to Texas.
Given that Mr. Elon Musk already has assets in Texas, it makes sense that he would want to consolidate and move the rest of his businesses over there.
This is Darsha Phillips reporting. And it's not the first time Musk has taken aim at policies which protect members of the LGBTQ+ community. In 2020, he was criticized for making anti-trans statements on X, posting things like pronouns suck.
Happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, high winds, tornadoes, and flooding have caused major damage and even some deaths from New Hampshire all the way to Illinois. Flash flooding in Arkansas has led to evacuations and water rescues after a new wave of storms there. Look at this video here. As much as 11 inches of rain fell overnight into today in parts of Arkansas. Numerous bridges are washed out. Evacuations are taking place as significant rising water is inside of homes and businesses. A nursing home also had to be evacuated, and there was a swift water rescue involving a recreational vehicle as well. There have been impacts to infrastructure there, but no immediate reports of any injuries from that flooding in Arkansas.
Michelle, thanks. Shark attacks have been dominating headlines this summer, and now a Florida woman is expected to make a full recovery after she was attacked by an alligator. The woman went for a run on the 4th of July, then decided to take a dip in the river behind her yard. She says she was in shallow water when out of the dark water appears a giant alligator head. The alligator bit her leg, and she recalls punching it in the snout and eventually pulling herself onto a dock.
The thought came to my mind, this is your last move. And his next is to roll you. And I just screamed and I cried as hard as I could.
It worked. She had to have emergency surgery and spent 3 days in the hospital. A licensed trapper removed the alligator from the river and euthanized it. The gator, by the way, weighed more than 400 pounds. and it measured 10 feet, 8 inches.
That's a lucky escape. So is this. We have video of the frantic race to rescue a teenager who got stuck in a hole in the sand at a California beach. This happened shortly before 5 p.m. at a beach in San Diego, where lifeguards say the 16-year-old was about 6 to 8 feet deep in that hole when it partially collapsed, making her unable to climb out. After nearly 20 minutes of digging, crews freed that girl. She was checked out and is expected to be okay. That's a rough trip to the beach. For sure.
Very much so. You know, Michelle in the Live Center was talking about the flooding in Arkansas. That's the same system that will be headed to us here. And Kat Campbell is tracking that and what it will bring for us. At least we'll get cooler temperatures out of it.
We get 80s from it. That's the upside. The downside is we also have a lot of rain in the forecast. The severe weather threat, not as expansive as what other states have seen, but we do have a low end threat for severe storms and a lot of rain coming. 92 degrees outside right now, even though we have a lot of clouds in the area. The sun sets at 8:30 tonight. It's one of our last 8:30 sunsets. Enjoy it while you can. The grass looking a little better there in Dix Park after last Friday's rain. Remember the flood risk we were under last Friday? That is the same flood risk we're going to be under tomorrow. So tomorrow, heavy rain. We're talking an 80% chance for rain. Friday, the rain chances may be higher in our southern counties, so we've tapered that chance back a bit to about 50% and a 70% chance again on Saturday. Those 80s are right around the corner. I want to walk you through rainfall totals. This is from now just through 9 o'clock tomorrow night. And I mean, just in that short span of time, we're talking anywhere from ½ an inch to 1.5 inches of rain. These are totals around the Raleigh area. This should be a healthy dose of rain for many of us tomorrow. The flood risk, it's not uniform across our area. The risk is a little lower in our western counties, and from the Triangle, Sand Hills, all the way to the coast, that threat is more scattered. Not everybody's going to see flash flooding, but we are likely to see some flood advisories and perhaps a couple of flash flood warnings issued tomorrow. All thanks to this front that is on the way. This front is going to be getting stuck over North Carolina by tomorrow afternoon. So let's take a look at Futurecast. I'm starting this evening, so 5 o'clock. We do have scattered storms around about a 40% chance during the evening commute. That threat will continue through about 10 o'clock. Any storms that develop could have heavy rain, but the flooding risk a bit lower today, and we have the potential for strong damaging wind gusts. Tomorrow, we have a lot more storms that are going to fire up. I would say there's a small chance for rain tomorrow morning. This version of Futurecast not showing it. But as we get toward 10, 11 o'clock notice, we see a few storms develop. So they could develop a little earlier in the day. And then look at how they grow in coverage. 3 o'clock, pretty good chance of storms. But it's as we get towards 6, 7, 8 o'clock tomorrow night that we expect to see the most widespread thunderstorms. The front is right overhead. We've got ample moisture for this front to wring out. And a lot of that rain's going to fall at once. So that brings about our flooding risk to moderate risk tomorrow, or an elevated threat. The risk right between low and moderate on Friday, and then over the weekend we have a low end threat for some flash flooding as well. Let's take a look at today's WRAL Weather Watcher picture. This is of a thunderstorm anvil sent in by William Friedrich last night, and Will sent some of the storms in the distance. If you look at the sky and you see a cloud that looks like this, that's a sign that there is a thunderstorm in the distance. Always a good idea. If you were out and about during that, when you see that, open up the WRAL weather app so you can check in on the dual Doppler 5000 radar. Looking ahead, we just got to get through today, folks. Then we get a break from the heat. 90 tomorrow. So until those storms pop up tomorrow, it's still pretty hot. After that, here come the 80s. I'm looking forward to it.
It was a great decade and a great, streak of temperatures.
Absolutely, we'll take it.
Good music. Aging EMS equipment could be putting lives at risk. That's a warning from an EMS chief in our area. Today at 4, Eric Miller looks into the risks associated with the equipment in question and the cost associated with replacements.
And at 5:30, potentially harmful ingredients found in baby lotions. 5 on your side shows you the brands to avoid and which are safer options for your little one. Plus, still ahead this noon, deciphering nutrition labels. How do you know what to look for? A registered dietitian shares why some ingredients may be more important to some people than others. Also,
when you just boot your computer today, imagine waiting for 10 minutes to start your computer. It's instantaneous, sometimes within seconds.
A 10-minute computer boot up? That's something Gen Z will never understand. Why some buyers can't wait to get their hands on this piece of technology. Today's last day for Amazon's Prime Day sales, and people are making the most of the deals. But Prime Day can be dangerous for warehouse workers. A new congressional report suggests that workers are more than twice as likely to be injured while working during the two-day event. Amazon's total injury rate during Prime Day in 2019 was just under 45 injuries per 100 workers. That's including the injuries the company did not report to OSHA. Amazon says a report from the Senate committee fails to address its progress in reducing injuries. Two luxury brands are the target of two separate investigations by Italian authorities. The brands are accused of misleading consumers and of illegal labor practices. The investigation of major designers marks a widening of efforts to crack down on labor trafficking and unfair labor practices. The companies are cooperating with authorities and say the allegations have no merit.
The first generation Apple desktop computer that once belonged to Steve Jobs is hitting the auction block in New York. The computer was taken from his desk after he left the company in 1976. It's from Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen's collection. A former Microsoft computer scientist says before the revolutionary Apple I, computers used to be the size of a room and a very basic piece of machinery.
As a computer scientist, this is my era's Da Vinci. Because Da Vinci only had a limited number of paintings. There is only one of these. There is no other comparable to this, period.
So the computer is expected to sell for between $500,000 and $800,000. Bidding begins online at the end of August, and a live auction will be held September 10th.
Today is World Emoji Day. There's little dispute that emojis are an important part of our daily text threads, right? A recent texting quiz by CNN found Gen Z is more likely than others to use a skull emoji to convey laughter. I've never used the skull emoji, but I love the emoji with the face with the tears of joy. I use that one all the time. And it remains the most popular choice across generations to convey laughter. Nearly 200,000 people have completed the non-scientific quiz so far.
Up next at noon, Senator J.D. Vance speaks tonight at the RNC for the first time as the vice presidential nominee. We'll preview the focus of that much anticipated speech.
Also coming up, the mayor of Paris, leading by example, takes a dip in the River Seine. What she says about this historic moment and the plans for the river after the Olympics. First, here's a look at the winning lottery numbers.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
The big moment at the Republican National Convention tonight is expected to be the address by Donald Trump's newly minted running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. Vance has served in the Senate for less than 2 years. His record and background offer clues to both what a second Trump administration would do and what the future of the Republican Party might look like. Tomorrow night, former President Trump is expected to deliver a charge acceptance speech as he takes the stage at the convention.
Former New Jersey governor and one-time presidential candidate Chris Christie is urging former President Donald Trump to tone down the rhetoric that has led to political violence. In a New York Times op-ed, Christie wrote, Trump has the opportunity to rein in some of the, quote, worst rhetorical impulses of the Republican Party. He also pointed out that Trump's vice presidential pick, Senator J.D. Vance, has used rhetoric that demonizes Democrats. While Trump and President Biden have both called for unity in the aftermath of the assassination attempt, Christie has said that's not enough. Meanwhile, Trump's former lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, says he has no regrets about defaming two Georgia election workers. Now, back in December, Giuliani was ordered to pay $158 million to the election workers for falsely accusing them of rigging the 2020 election. Giuliani also falsely claimed the election workers had their legal bills paid for by President Biden. The mother and daughter were represented pro bono by a prominent law firm and an advocacy group.
As Republicans gather for the third day of their national convention in Milwaukee, Democrats in Raleigh gathered to warn voters about a document they say sketches out the blueprint for a potential second presidential term for former President Donald Trump. WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie is outside the state Democratic Party headquarters with what they say that is likely to look like. Laura.
Renee, Project 2025 is a 900-plus page document drafted by the Heritage Foundation with the input of more than 200 former Trump advisors and officials. It lays out a massive overhaul of the federal government. The document calls for the elimination of the Federal Department of Education, the outlawing of a drug used for medication abortion nationwide, and cuts to Social Security and other benefits programs. It also calls for the removal of most workers in federal agencies to be replaced with administration loyalists. Democrats say this will be the blueprint for Trump's return to the White House. Trump has been working to distance himself from the document, saying on social media a week ago, I have not seen it, have no idea who is in charge of it, and had nothing to do with it. I asked Democratic Party Chair Anderson Clayton, to respond to that.
12 of the advisors that sit with Trump right now on his presidential campaign have co-authored this or have co-authored Project 2025. I don't think you can run from something that the majority of the people around you support and have supported.
State Republican leaders are also distancing themselves from the plan, which has drawn considerable scrutiny in the press. The only second-term agenda we are focused on is the 2024 platform and Agenda 47, which is a pro-America agenda as opposed to the Democrats' failures, NCGOP spokesman Matt Mercer told me this morning. This is not the first time the Heritage Foundation has made recommendations to an incoming president. They did something similar in 1981 when Ronald Reagan was elected. According to the Heritage Foundation's president, more than 60% of those recommendations were adopted as official government policy. Laura Leslie, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
The search for UNC's next chancellor will move forward today. The search committee will meet in Chapel Hill this afternoon. UNC is looking for a permanent replacement for Kevin Guskiewicz, who left for Michigan State in January. Lee Roberts is the chancellor for now. The Board of Governors and System President Peter Hans will make the final call. The committee's goal is to name a new chancellor by the end of the year. Year-round teachers in Durham Public Schools return to work today. A day-long kickoff to the school year is taking place at Northern High School. Earlier, they heard from the new superintendent, Nicholas King, and they're participating in professional development sessions. DPS students on the year-round calendar will start Monday.
And discriminating against hairstyles will not be allowed in Wake County schools. The school board changed its dress code policy for students and staff. The change means students won't be punished for wearing their hair in braids, twists, or other natural or cultural styles. It's something for which black students and families have been advocating. New Title IX regulations have been adopted into Wake County school policies regarding sex-based discrimination. The school board approved several language changes last night. They include clarifying that Title IX complaints don't have to be written down. You can read more about the debate over the changing Title IX landscape at the education section of WRAL.com.
The countdown's getting real. We're just 9 days away from the start of the Paris Summer Olympics, and France is looking to showcase the country's natural and cultural landmarks, including the River Seine, 8 days away, just under 9 days. It will be the venue for the triathlon and marathon swimming events, but there have been some concerns about pollution levels. Today, the mayor of Paris took a dip in the river to show it is safe for swimming.
It's very, very cool to be here, and it was a dream, and now it's real. And after the games, we will have a swimming pool in the river for all the people, for the Parisian people and for the tourists also.
The government has spent more than $1.5 billion to clean up the river to suitable levels for swimming. The mayor of Paris hopes that by dipping in the waters, that diminishes any fears of pollution.
And when it comes to uniforms for the Paris Olympics, fans say Team Mongolia takes the gold. The uniforms incorporate the colors of the Mongolian flag as well as the national symbol found on the country's banner. Many have taken to social media about this, praising the striking designs and intricately embroidered vests, dresses, and accessories that'll be worn during the opening ceremony. One fan wrote, "It looks like they are taking people's souls in the competition." Nutrition labels on food packages can be hard to decipher. How to maximize your understanding so that the information can help you with healthier eating.
Plus, one state is making driverless cars a public transportation option. Why it says they can especially help passengers with disabilities. We appreciate you watching. Remember, you can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or the WRAL app right on your streaming device.
It's a live look right now at the DBAP from Durham Bulls Athletic Park. Just waiting for a game right there under the sunshine and watching WRAL News, available on Hulu and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. 2 regulatory agencies are cracking down on illegal sales of copycat food products containing Delta-8 THC. The FDA and the FTC issued warnings to 5 companies that produce Delta-8 THC edibles. The substance is a psychoactive cannabinoid that is made from the same plant type as marijuana and hemp. Regulators are concerned about the product packaging because it looks very similar to popular foods like Fruit Loops cereal and Chips Ahoy cookies. The companies have 15 working days to respond to the concerns.
Ever take a look at the nutrition facts on food packages? It can be tough to understand what it all means. People are going to look for different things on that nutrition label. For example, someone with diabetes may pay special attention to the added sugars and total carbohydrates. Or someone doing keto may be more focused on the fat content. Overall, it's important to set parameters so you don't get overwhelmed.
As you become more proficient in it and you have a better idea of certain brands and certain stores, it's going to be a little bit easier. But in the very beginning, it does take a little bit of time and takes a little bit of investigation to kind of exactly know what you're looking for.
Also, look at the serving size and how much that is. It's important to look at both sides of packaged food because what's advertised on the front may not include everything that's actually inside. When in doubt, talk with a dietitian who can create a specific plan for your needs.
After nearly 35 years, Las Vegas bids farewell to the Mirage. How locals and visitors are remembering the iconic venue.
This year's hydrangea blooms are having a banner year. Coming up, what a master gardener says allowed the buds to survive, thrive, and run wild.
Happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, a crash in Wake Forest on Burlington Mills Road is causing some major delays right now. These are pictures from the crash. This is happening along Burlington Mills Road near Knight Heron Drive. You can see 2 Honda vehicles appear to be in the grass area off the side of the road. No injuries have been reported. An ambulance is on scene as well as a fire truck, and you can see the long line of cars behind that fire truck. An alternate route to use, motorists are being told to avoid that area, so an alternate route to use would be 401 or Lewisburg Road.
Autonomous vehicles will soon be hitting the road in parts of Minnesota. Along with giving the public an additional way to get around, the vehicles will also be designed to help those who need extra assistance. Public Transportation Agency is partnering with a Michigan-based company for a 3-year, $5 million deal. The plan calls for 5 autonomous wheelchair-accessible vans to join the public transportation fleet. Rides will be available on demand through the existing transit app or by phone.
One of the things that we really want to make sure is to be as inclusive as possible for people with disabilities or seniors who need a little bit of extra assistance.
Well, they are autonomous. While no one is technically driving, there will be an operator in the van, at least to start. Transit leaders say the deal will fill a labor shortage while also meeting the needs of the community.
This year's hydrangea blooms are lighting up front yards all over New England. Some say this is the first time they have even really seen significant blooming ever on their plants. NBC's Emily Aketa explains what's behind this banner year in hydrangea heaven.
With their heavenly hues of blues and pinks,
Hydrangeas are a summer staple along the eastern seaboard, and this year the unmistakable mophead flowers are blooming and booming in an abundance not seen in years, from Connecticut to New Jersey to Massachusetts.
Blue in the front and pink in the back.
Pamela Vasquez and her team tend to the Chatham Bars Inn's 5,000 hydrangea plants. She says the explosion of colorful clusters is weather dependent.
We had a really mild winter, so our buds were protected. And then it was a very rainy, wet spring, which definitely helped the ground. So we knew it was going to be a show.
In Boston, the temperature dropped to 14 degrees last winter. The year before, -10. You can see the difference in the summers that followed.
Well, many vacationers flock to Cape Cod for its shoreline and marine life. Officials here say this sea of color is now drawing crowds of its own like never before.
Had to stop because they take your breath away. They're beautiful.
Is it worth the trip?
Absolutely. Nothing says Cape Cod like hydrangeas by the sea. It just evokes that feeling.
With the curtain soon closing on this summer's hydrangea show, so many already dreaming of the next.
There's never enough hydrangeas for this property. I hope every year is as fabulous as this year.
Emily Ikeda, NBC News, Chatham, Massachusetts.
They truly are gorgeous. We have hydrangea bushes in the front yard and on the side, much smaller ones, and they bloomed in May, and now they just look like burnt popcorn.
Oh.
So, yeah, dried up, shriveled up.
They look like they're multiplying in some of those shots right there. I don't know. Maybe the heat is making them wilt. Kat Campbell's in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now with a look at the risk.
Yes, and we have had an exceptionally hot summer. We had those early blooms, and then it just was so dry that it limited the hydrangeas this season. It's my mom's favorite flower, so my dad was going out with the hose every day to try to keep them going this year. The limelight ones still seem to be in bloom when I'm driving around, though. The major heat is backing off, though. Good news. Today, we have major heat in the forecast, another heat advisory today. We've got a moderate heat risk tomorrow. We're still going to heat up before the rain and storms arrive, but they're going to be widespread when they get here. And then the heat risk really backs off for the weekend. So good news to look forward to. 91 is our normal high this time of year. We're going to be at 90 for the high tomorrow, then mid-80s Friday and Saturday. Over the weekend, we warm back up into the upper 80s by Sunday. But these are below normal temperatures with 91 our normal high this time of year. That's why you see the temperature anomaly map turning blue. Doesn't mean we're going to get chilly by any means, but we get some relief in sight thanks to that cold front. And look at the temperatures behind the front. 80 degrees in Chicago right now, 81 in Cleveland. Once the front gets here, we're going to tap into some of those 80s as well, not the 70s that Minneapolis has. Check out Zebulon from the historic town hall. The grass here looks spectacular. It's a beautiful day out there, and look at the flags blowing in the wind. We at least have a little bit of a breeze to contend with the heat today. It's been feeling a little bit better. 104, the current heat index at RDU. 100 is what it feels like in Southern Pines. 104 in Clinton, 102 in South Hill. It's a hot one out there. No storms have fired up in our area just yet. That will happen later this afternoon and into the evening. It's about a 40% chance of some scattered thunderstorms by the time we get to the evening commute at 5 o'clock. So hopefully you can see one of those storms and head out for a dog walk right after the rain clears. That's going to be your best bet today. Temperatures stay in the mid-80s at 8 o'clock, and then late tonight we are still right around 80 even at midnight. It's going to be a hot one. If you are headed out for a dog walk, please try to keep them in the grass. A quick in and out. The pavement temperatures between 120 and 125 in our viewing area. And a reminder, especially after a couple of stories that we had last week, never, ever, ever leave your children or your pets inside your car. The outside temperature when it's 90 degrees, and keep in mind we're going to be even hotter than that today for many of us, is 109 after just 10 minutes, 124 after 30 minutes. This is stifling and deadly heat for anyone or any pets to be left in a car. Over the next 7 days, the heat backs off in a pretty significant way for July in North Carolina. We've got 90 for the high tomorrow, some 80s on the horizon. I will say our low temperatures don't dip too much. We're going to be back in the lower 70s, so it stays pretty humid out there. But look at our rain chances, some decent chances on the way, an 80% chance tomorrow, 50% chance Friday, and 70% chance on Saturday.
A little bit of a rocky ride there, all Kat. Thank you. You could say one award-winning rapper's music is out of this world. How Missy Elliott described NASA's decision to transmit one of her songs into space.
First, here's a look at the winning Mega Millions numbers. We have 5, 35, 42, 58, and 66. The Mega Ball is 22. The Mega Plier is 2. Up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today.
Chapel Hill police are investigating a shooting that killed a man. It happened just after 1 this morning on Ashley Forest Road. Officers were called and found a man who had been shot. He was taken to a hospital where he later died. Police are speaking with a person of interest in this case.
We're working to find out what caused a tractor trailer to crash on the Beltline in Raleigh this morning that resulted in steak sauce all over the road. The truck was transporting jugs and bottles of steak marinade. It veered off and overturned near the Wade Avenue exit around 1:45 this morning. The driver is okay. Crews worked to clean up the sticky mess.
Raleigh City Council member Corey Branch is no longer running for mayor. Janet Cowell, Paul Fitz, Eugene Myrick, James Shaughnessy are all still in the race. In April, Marianne Baldwin announced she would not seek a third term as mayor. Her term expires in December. The filing period to succeed Baldwin closes this Friday at noon.
The Mirage Hotel fully shuts down in just a few hours, marking the end of a nearly 35-year run. The iconic volcano erupted outside the hotel last night for the final time. In 2021, Hard Rock Las Vegas announced it was purchasing the venue. The hotel is being shut down and removing the notable volcano to make room for the guitar-shaped building, symbolizing the new brand. The 22-story property is slated to be demolished later this year, and it will be replaced with a baseball stadium, the home of the relocated Oakland A's.
A 74-year-old man from Massachusetts is proof you're only as old as you feel. Paul Topham set a new record for his age and weight class in powerlifting. Now he's setting his sights on the World Championship in November. Nicknamed Papa Smurf for his white beard, Topham is definitely not your average senior citizen.
Always got to strive to do better. You always got to strive to get stronger. And the only way you're going to do that is persistence. Just because I'm 74 doesn't mean I have to think I'm old.
Yeah, despite being in his mid-70s, Topham is a regular at his YMCA and is only partially retired from his tree-cutting business.
For years, Missy Elliott has dabbled in otherworldly costumes and themes for her music videos. So it's only fitting that NASA gave her a special honor.
Me, I'm super fly, super duper fly, super duper fly.
NASA says it transmitted Missy Elliott's song, The Rain, Super Duper Fly, to Venus via radio antennas. And it took nearly 14 minutes for the song to travel about 158 million miles. Elliott posted to social media saying, quote, "The sky is not the limit, it is just the beginning." Well said. In her 2024 tour called Out of This World, Elliott can be seen donning chrome and studded costumes, echoing themes of 80s space movies.
Our pet of the day is a beautiful tortoise shell from Cat Angels NC. Miss Callie, a relaxed sweetheart that'll happily greet you at the door every day you come home. She enjoys playing with the small chaser toys, loves to get chin scratches. Hoping to find a quiet home she can spend time with her quality family. If you'd like to meet her in person, just fill out an application on the Cat Angels website. Tortie Shell, Callie. NBC News Daily is up next on WRAL, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
Okay, we get to go out in the heat. You can get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a great day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.